Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Vinny Eastwood Show. We're just going to be getting the backup stream going in just a few moments here. Thank you very much for tuning in, everybody in the chat room and on YouTube, as well as the stream play live with Raconteurs News and the Vinny Eastwood Show. Here we go, and we are ready to begin. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Vinny Eastwood Show, the lighter side of genocide. Just because we're being exterminated doesn't mean we can't make it fun. Otherwise, what's the point of being killed? The Vinny Eastwood Show, where the only thing worse than living in a high-tech global police state is Vinny's jokes.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with that. I definitely agree with that, Vinny. Good evening, everybody who's on the Raconteurs News stream. Nice to see everybody in the chat room. Good evening to you all. I hope you're having a good day. It's the 15th of June, isn't it? It's June 2020, 16th to 15th. Wow, where's it going? Where is it going this year? Or even though we're all bored and it probably should have dragged, but it seems to have disappeared up its own arse. So far. Hey, good evening, Vinny. Oh, sorry, let me just say hello to my erstwhile co-host. That is Owen Lloyd Martin. Good evening, Owen Lloyd Martin. How you doing, my old friend?
Not too bad. Weather's good in Portugal. Weather's good.
Good. So we're broadcasting from Sheffield, Portugal, and from New Zealand, which is just amazing technology, things that we can do these days. Even 10 years ago, you wouldn't have imagined this, would you? So our guest tonight, and of course he's doing his own stream as well, is Vinny Eastwood. Vinny, how I know this, you said this is all cliched and stuff, but how are you? How's fatherhood treating you? And any more cliches that you want chucking out here?
Well, let's see. You guys can't see my screen, so I wouldn't be able to show you. Oh, wait, there is a share screen option here. Excellent. So what I think I'll do is try and get up on the screen for you just how being a good dad is. It's just so good. Because, bro, the cuteness. The cuteness is the first thing that you notice. And my wife is basically taking care of herself to a large degree, just while I'm on the radio. But because I'm only on the radio for a couple of hours a day, she's seeming to manage. And she takes care of the baby at night, and I get up real early in the morning so that Sarah can then go back to sleep. And it seems to be relatively balanced, our pattern here.
Excellent. And are you I had a question in my head right in the middle of what you said then. I think it was about the cuteness. What's the you got a daughter, haven't you? What's her name? Let's give her a name.
Alina. And I'll just see if we can share screen for the moment. There we go. And we'll go to this puppy. So you can see my screen right now?
Nope. I will do if you share screen on the StreamYard.
In StreamYard. Oh, I'm trying to do that. Application window, your entire screen. Wants to share the content, choose what you'd like to share. Yeah, it's asking me choose what you'd like to share, but the share button itself is grey completely.
Yeah, because what you need to do is you need to click on something so that it'll be an
click on it. There we go. Show entire screen. Boom. Thank you so much for that, brother, making me look so much better than I actually am. Now, here we are. We've got,
Yay.
got the little baby here. We're gonna. It's the baby burrito. I was just trying to get her to give me a smile, and then she gave me the opposite of a smile. I was like, oh, that's so sad. And it was just like, she doesn't know what smile means yet. But here we go. Come on, give a daddy one more smile. It'd be so good. It'd be so good. If you get more milk, if I give you more milk, will you smile? Yeah, there we go. All right, that's all I wanted to show you.
We've been through that. Have you got it? You've got kids, haven't you? We've all been through that. I mean, many years ago.
My two girls are in the 20s. Yeah.
My daughter's 24, but I remember all that, mate. And there's parts of it that that are a bit jealous, and there are other parts that are glad that it's not me. Because I do remember the good times. I used to get up with my daughter at night. I used to get up and feed her because her mother was just lazy and would just lay there letting her cry until I just went, right, I'm getting up, even though I were like DJing and that until God knows what o'clock. But the times then, the quiet time, I'd be downstairs with a bottle in her mouth and she'd fall asleep and I'd sort of fall asleep and stuff. Yeah, I remember it all that well. But are you getting your hands dirty?
Oh, I'm getting my chest hair dirty. I'm getting I'm getting the cracks in the side of the couch dirty. You know how stuff just tends to drip down when she projectile. Well, it's been an interesting and fun experience. And I think the main thing of it was, as an immature man, I would spend a lot of time playing video games and watching TV and movies and things like that because I literally didn't have anything better to do with my time than just sit around and waste it, right? And then I've got a kid, and now I can't sit around wasting my time anymore. Instead, I'm doing something that's productive. I'm caring for her life. I'm teaching her and caring for her and loving her, that kind of thing, and I'm learning things myself at the same time. So I think, what's his name? The Jolly Heretic was right, that if you are intelligent, you need to be trying to have as much babies as possible. All right. Now, think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine how many foolish and stupid people are out there. Now, can those foolish or stupid people come to your house and repair your broken pipes or something like that? Or maybe your electricity's out in the neighborhood. Are they capable of rewiring it? No, they're not. So if you are an intelligent person, you need to be having as much babies as possible, because as soon as the amount of intelligent people has gone down significantly, even basic services will be on people's capacity to understand, let alone fix. All right. And society, as you know, it will break down.
We've already lost a lot of those skills, those just general basic skills. We've already lost them, like reading map. I remember when I was a van driver and I'd have a map in my hand, an A to Z, and I'd be trying to avoid, look where I was going and read map and find out where, map reading's gone. All those things that we used to do when we were growing up. I know I'm a different generation to you, but I'm sure that by the time all the fun had not been taken out of it by the time you were in your youth. So it's them skills that we need to pass on, those skills, even like map reading, even tying your shoelaces soon, because they'll be automatic and nobody will be able to know about. I know how in a generation nobody will be able to know how they to tie the shoelaces. And what I wanted to ask you, Vinny, is what was the experience? Because your wife, your missus, went, I don't know if she's wife, we'll call you wife. Went into labour during the coronavirus situation, right at the very peak. What was it like? What was it like in the hospital? Were you able to get in? Were you able to be at the birth? Because that's quite important.
Yeah. So there was a number of different rules for it. So when you first go in, you got to, clean your hands with that crap, and you've got to sign in your name and why you're there. And then we went up to the birthing suite, and right next to in the birthing suite itself, they had a little tablet that was open that kept spewing out vaccine propaganda and other health measures and things like that in the corner, just silently while we're going through the birthing process. In labour for a couple of days, really. Sarah's water broke a long time before the baby actually got born, and so we weren't, just rushing to the hospital and stuff like that. And it's not like birth is like it is in the movies. And in the birth, it's like, oh, the water's breaking, and then 5 minutes later, and the baby comes out. It's like, no, bro, it takes a long freaking time. And my wife's hips were kind of cloven in like an hourglass, so the baby actually got jammed in there. after 2 hours of pushing, and then we had to go and get a cesarean. Very, very violent, like literally wrenching that baby out of the, you know, like whoa, this is quite violent form of birth, right? And when she was born, she was dead. And just completely lifeless, covered in blood, and there was like 15 people around trying to resuscitate her, bring her back to life. They managed to, thank goodness. And then they pressured us into taking the vitamin K shot because she had extensive bruising around her, you know, that kind of thing. Yep. Don't feel good about that. And definitely not getting her any vaccines, though, unless, of course, they do force vaccines, which they're probably going to do this year. But...
yeah. Well, go anywhere.
So she was real early, so she was about a month early. So we had to take her to the SCBU, the special care baby unit, and the incubators and all of that kind of stuff. Now, because of the COVID-19 rules, I was allowed in the birthing suite and I was allowed in the operating theatre during the cesarean and everything, but I wasn't allowed in the maternity ward, all right, like at all, to see my wife. And she wasn't allowed in, I was allowed in the baby care unit to be with my baby, but not while my wife was there. All right, so they kept father and baby and mother separate for, I think it was up to 8 days that we had in there. And when she was out of the SCBU unit and didn't need the machines anymore and could just keep there in the maternity ward, then I wasn't allowed in there at all. And because none of the husbands were allowed in the maternity ward, there was babies crying all the time, all throughout the night, and there was very few staff because of the lockdown as well. So they had to go around and do all this work. And my wife was sitting there basically by herself without really any support, and it nearly broke her mentally to have to go through that for a full 8 days. And I was able to, drop off stuff to her. I sent her recordings of me singing lullabies and things like that, so she can play them to the baby, and they worked. But yeah, man, it was pretty stink. It was good to get the baby in the car, and be able to take her home. But yeah, man, these doctors and nurses and things like that, they're either liars or they're stupid. Or they're psychopathic and have no conscience. And it's not because of any of the things, that they did that I just mentioned. It's more about the fact that they promote vaccines, and then you can show them X amount of people who've been damaged by vaccines and they can't see it. It's like you're Columbus meeting the Caribbeans for the first time, and they can't see the ships that you're showing them right in front of them, I was asking, hey, is there any bit of cannabis, because the baby was in a bit of pain because of the birth. Could we try cannabis for pain relief, because it was legalized here in New Zealand for pain relief and all of that kind of stuff. And I say, no, I don't think it's effective. And it's like, it's legal, bro. Like, the government said it's effective. Like, what? So just nothing. And then you show them a video of a boy having a seizure, and then daddy giving him cannabis oil. And then she's just stops, and he's like, yeah, there you go, buddy. All right. And you show this to pediatricians, and they say, oh, that could just be the placebo effect, like as if they didn't see what they just freaking saw. Unbelievable. Because I can't think of a single person who, as a father, would watch that video without breaking them in half. And these people have just got no conscience whatsoever. They feel nothing. They're just empty vessels of people, and those are the ones who are promoting all these vaccines and that kind of thing. I mean, they gave my baby a vitamin K shot, and then afterwards I looked up all the side effects and stuff like that. And they say, oh, your baby's got jaundice. Really? Because that happens to be a side effect of the vitamin K shot. Isn't there a possibility that vitamin K shot causes jaundice? And they're like, no, it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. So it's right there on it's right here on the printout from the manufacturer. Oh yeah, but that's probably not for newborns. It says right there neonatal. In Latin, that means newborns. Oh yeah, but it's probably not for a reputable website. It's from Pfizer, the manufacturer of the drug you just gave my baby. Oh well, yeah, I will have to agree to disagree.
It is. Owen, you look like you want to say something, mate. Go on.
Yeah, just going back on that, I was watching one of your videos the other day. I think it was, I don't know if it was, well, obviously it was during when your wife was pregnant, and you was pulled by a wonderful police officer, policewoman. Run us through that. Just give us a brief outline of that. I mean, it's available on YouTube there, but just tell us what happened.
Vinny Eastwood pulled over by aggressive female cop on YouTube if you want to watch it. Well, I got complex post-traumatic stress from getting busted by the police, and they said, hey, trust us, be honest with us, and we'll go easy on you. And then they lied, and then they made up evidence, and then they fucked my life. So, pardon the language. But as a result, every single time I get pulled over by police, I'm pardoning the language, not because it's not allowed, but because some people do actually get offended, and I'm sensitive to people's issues. They can go screw themselves. Anyway, now the thing about getting pulled over by cops for me is essentially the brain doesn't know the difference between what it's seeing right in front of it and what it's remembering experiencing, okay? And I remember experiencing absolute harrowing and panic attacks and stuff like that. So my body immediately starts pumping those exact chemicals through my bloodstream whenever a cop pulls me over. So my goal was to immediately get a live stream going. So it's just like I came out of the supermarket. I just finished doing a live stream of me standing in line at the supermarket for COVID-19. It was a long-ass line. And then going down and doing my shopping. And then who's behind me in my aisle, right behind me, a Vinny Eastwood show listener and donor, like coincidentally at the supermarket, right? So I'm all tired from walking around and talking. I don't have any water or anything, so I drive out of the supermarket. And as I'm driving, I see these lights flash at me, and I was going, "Why are they flashing at me? Are they trying to warn me that there's cops nearby or something like that?" And then all of a sudden, the lights on top of the car went off. It was a freaking cop car that was flashing their lights at me because I'd forgotten my to turn my lights on. You know, when you're coming out of a very well lit car park into a well lit street. And it's just about dusk or something like that, and you forget to turn your lights on for some reason. Well, cops frown on that. Now you'll have to forgive me. My camera over here is having a little bit of problems. You're gonna have to.
There we go. We'll carry on anyway. These
Sorry, guys.
It's all right. It's all right. We'll carry on. You do that.
Bit of difficulty with my camera here. It's having a little bit of a power problem. But just give me a second. There we go. All sorted. Now, so she knocks on my door. I'm trying to get the live stream going while this cop is turning around and coming up and parking beside me. I'm trying to get the live stream going on the phone real quick as I can. And that's not quick enough for her. You know, she knocks on the door and I'm still trying to set the live stream up or whatever because I don't want to talk to a cop without a live stream going. And she knocks really, really hard, and that got my adrenaline like right up, like cops viciously on your window. That scared the hell out of me. And so the live stream then starts, and that's what everybody started seeing in the video. And I was like, my wife's water's broken, and she sent me out to go get some groceries and stuff like that. And as soon as you mentioned, I forgot the main rule is that with the cops, the only question you answer is, I don't answer questions.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. And I forgot my rule. I just said, oh, my wife's water's broken. I'm on my way home. And then all of a sudden the cop's going, well, why are you here getting groceries if you're on your way home? You know, I'm just trying to care for your wife. I'm just trying to care for you. You know, and it's just like, yeah, you sound really, really nurturing. Now I well, that's not what I said. That's not what I said, but that's what I thought. You know, kind of like whenever a cop pulls you over, what they say is revenue gathering. You know, that's the reason they pulled you over. But they never actually say that. That's just what you hear whenever they say whatever it is. And so, yeah, the lady just freaked me out. And then all of a sudden I was just like, okay, I remember the rule. I'm sorry, I don't answer questions. And then, after a very short period of time, that cop was parting ways and letting me go. So and then I live streamed on the way home, and I was just like, "You care about my wife? You don't even know her. You just met me, you know." And it's like
the situation changed. The situation changed from stopping you from not having your lights on. As soon as you mentioned that your wife's waters had broke, that's where attention was all focused. It wasn't about anything else.
Yeah, and that was because I was stupid enough to open my mouth and divulge some form of information to the police of any kind. All right? That is stupid, ladies and gentlemen. If you divulge any information of any kind to police, you are stupid. Okay? Now, this isn't me telling you this. This is the police. This is lawyers. Okay? This is what they think of you if you open your mouth and talk to the police. This person's stupid. And when I first got busted by the police, yeah, I'm a drug dealer. I've been dealing for about 6 months. Here's my weed. Here's my titties. Here's my, you know, that kind of thing. These people had never seen anything like it. In fact, they'd seen so little of it like it that they forgot to advise me of my rights before they took my confession. And because of that, on a technicality, my entire confession had to be struck off. All right, so like, if you're honest with cops, they'll betray you, and if you're too honest with cops, if you're the right person you're supposed to be or whatever, I don't know. I put that down to providence. You know, like I was being saved from 8 years jail for a first offence for possession of 13 grams of cannabis that I was planning to sell on people who wanted it. All right, with no diversion either. So. Yeah, I was going through some pretty traumatic stuff, and I had that hanging over my head for over a month. And as they say in the complex post-traumatic stress field, after you have the control of your life surrendered for between 1 month and 6 months, depending on the character of the person, you will have permanent neurological damage from it. And that's what's happened to me. And that's why I can't work for the public sector. That's why I can't work in the private sector. All right. That's why I do the show and ask for donations and things like that, because I literally physically can't do anything else because of the trauma the public sector through the police and the private sector through the telecommunications companies have done to me personally. Have panic attacks, can't go in to do job interviews or anything like that. But what I can do is gain more subscribers than every single mainstream media outlet in New Zealand that has a presence on YouTube. What I can do is make 4,000 videos in 10 years, averaging more than a video a day. What I can do is interview hundreds and thousands of the world's top politicos, thinkers, advertisers, authors, and conspiracy people and researchers and all of that kind of thing, so that I have a greater perspective than any other talk radio show host in New Zealand. I can be the only talk radio show host from New Zealand that was picked up by an American network, right? I can do all these things, but I can't just go get a job, all right? So there are things other people can do that I can't, and there are things that I can do that nobody else ever has.
Yeah, and speaking of all that time, I mean, 4,000 videos in 10 years, that's quite some going. I remember watching you. I think I think it was when me and Adi were working in that strip club. We weren't stripping, we were DJing. But
don't say.
So we were getting in at, I was getting in at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you know, your head's still buzzing, you know, it's still full of tits and music and all this sort of thing. So
I actually don't know, but okay.
I came in.
How are you doing, lads? Oh, my head's full of tits.
Tits and music. That's all there is. I came across one of your came across back when YouTube used to put things in front of you that you actually really wanted to watch rather than just the shite that they do now. But I got on yours and you were sat and I can't remember who you were interviewing, but I think you were sat at a coffee table with your TV behind you. I mean, it's quite long ago. It must be 2013, 2014. So that's quite a long time to be 4,000 videos in 10 years. I mean, we've been going 4 years.
Well, it's attritional, you know. Like for example, in the Navy SEALs, 75% of the people who apply for the program don't become SEALs. All right, talk radio is even worse. All right, for every 100 people that starts a talk radio show, 99 of them will fail at that talk radio show within the first 3 months. Of the 100 that do actually make it in the aggregate, 99 of them will fail within 6 months. Of the 100 that do make that in the aggregate, 99 of them will fail before the year. Of the 100 that make that, 99 will fail before year 2, and so on and so on and so forth. The longer you keep going, the more against the tide you are. And it's a very, very special type of person that is a long-standing talk radio show host. Mainly narcissism, right? So that's basically it. If you've got rank royal narcissism, talk radio is potentially an avenue for you. All right. If you're not completely out of control, obsessed with yourself, on the other hand, I'm sorry, it's going to be the rhythm section for you.
I must ask, how are things politically in New Zealand? How is Cruella de Vil?
Well, it's kind of like this. It might be difficult to sort of explain it to an international audience, but I'll give it a go. New Zealanders aren't that bright. In fact, they've been dumbed down by education for quite some time, so that they can't really think anything. And if they can think anything, it's about tits or ass or shit or piss or alcohol or drugs or something like that, or some form of vain entertainment. So the political awareness of the population at large is extraordinarily low. And the media is completely compromised both by government funding and by private influence who funnel money into it. And so they only really tell people the things that the people either A, want to hear because that's where their interests are anyway, or B, sorry, the camera is messed up again. There's some difficulty with this puppy.
The microphone's up, Jason.
No. Something.
Oh, Jason's microphone was up.
I've got a separate camera.
You need to get a new cameraman.
Yeah. Well, it'd be nice. There we go. I've got it going again. Okay, so essentially the entire population's in the dark about the political realities about anything, because most of those political realities are scary, and they basically keep people dumb and uninformed and cowardly to a large degree, and distracted with vain senses of entertainment. So the sense of political awareness is extremely marginal, and you can measure that political awareness by looking at the support for the main two parties, who both support Agenda 21, who both support globalism, who both support global communism, and both sequentially either one or the other is in power, and yet they implement the exact same type of terrible policies. Now, when the left is in power, there are no protests against these terrible policies. When the right wing is in power, there are huge protests against these kind of policies. So essentially what I think is happening is that the people who are on the right wing have money and expertise and things of that nature, and they work at stuff behind the scenes, and the people on the left wing don't have expertise, they don't have money and resources and things like that. So what they do is they like to complain about things. So what happens is you will, over maybe a 10 to 12 year cycle, you will go from the right wing party to the left wing party, and everybody in the left wing, once they're in power, completely forgets everything the left wing party actually did that they voted for the last time they were in power, and are essentially fresh meat right now. So Nobody understands the betrayal that they're being served upon, and they all use excuses like, "Oh, if your small party gets in, they might mess something up," or I can't vote for you because you won't win," that kind of thing. So it becomes about who's going to win rather than doing the right thing. And as a result, you have factionalized and balkanized many minor parties who most people have never even heard of, fewer people have even voted for, who in some cases can't even get 500 votes, which is interesting because the minimum amount of party members that you can have is 500. You'd figure at least a minor party with 500 members would be at least able to get themselves 500 votes, but they don't, because even the people that become their members don't believe in them, and these people don't even believe in themselves. There've been many parties that have been throwing up millions and billions of dollars. They've even had billionaire startup parties and things of that nature that can't even get the vote. And there's celebrities and things like that trying to help out these minor parties, still can't get the vote. Now, it's essentially factionalized and balkanized everybody together because the amount of narcissistic egos that come from a narcissistic, egotistical population who's distracted from everything that matters, the majority of their life, aren't going to be the kind of people that when they get into any kind of political power are going to actually make a difference, especially when they're drinking fluoride, when they're taking vaccines, when they're doing pretty much everything they can to ignore reality subsequently. So the real reality of New Zealand right now is that the people who know what's going on won't be listened to. The people who can do something about it won't be given the support they need to carry out their ideas. And the people that, if they united, would be able to defeat whichever slave-type government is in power, they're too egotistical and narcissistic to see that unity is a better way through. We've been divided, we've been conquered, we've been poisoned, we've been brainwashed, and the outlook is extraordinarily grim. However, the rest of the world might be a different situation. So that's just New Zealand's situation. You guys,
I think what you've done is you've just described every country that's got democracy and would claim to have democracy in the West. I think you've described every single one to a T. So it's pretty much the same story everywhere, which means that this global thing, it's not on its own, is it? It's not a coincidence that we've all got the same crappy democracy. They tell us we've got democracy, and really we haven't. What were we I wanted to talk about something else.
I just wanted
sorry, that was a bit depressing, wasn't
it? Just finish on that, Vinny, because I do remember once again just watching something on the Outdoors Party, and they seem to be a movement that seems to be gathering pace. Is that right?
I don't know. And what's difficult about it? I mean, right now I'm kind of writing. I don't know. Tentatively thinking about the word manifesto, it comes to mind to sort of describe it. But essentially, what I'm trying to do right now is give the people the skills and advice that I've been given. All right. So that they can do what I can do. And that way they won't need me anymore. And each of them individually will be extraordinarily powerful. This is the ability to live stream primarily, to promote yourself on social media, that kind of thing. These platforms that still exist, that people can have power, they can now be exploited. Now, Sue Gray from the Outdoors Party, she's done probably best job I've actually seen anybody in New Zealand politics ever do, in terms of telling the truth, in terms of being active out there, that kind of thing. But yeah.
So you're saying cannabis has been legal? It's legalized now. Are you allowed to grow it yourself? Are you allowed to do it, or is it only legal in doses that have been through Monsanto and various other big pharma companies? Nice armpit, by the way. Oh, lovely tie as well. Red tie.
Yeah, yeah.
What
Well,
was that?
this is my costume, bro. This is my costume
Right. This is mine. I'd like to say thanks to Leeds, who sent me this T-shirt this week, and I promised I'd wear it. Thank you very much, Leeds. That is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to be loving that. If you don't know what that is, that's Vinny. That is Jim Will Fix It. Was the show that Jimmy Savile did.
Oh, Jim will plug it. Oh, mate.
Jim Will Fix It.
Like, I always think of Jimmy Savile as like that creepy pirate from Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, like leaning through the freaking cupboard doors, going, "Hello, Poppet."
So I'm going to be as soon as I'm going out tomorrow. I'm going out tomorrow, so I think I'm going to be wearing my new T-shirt. So thanks, Lee. Another thing I just wanted to mention. Happy birthday to Alice.
Alice, happy birthday, Alice.
One of our listeners. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday to you. Alley Cat George.
Search for the Vinny Eastwood birthday song. Best birthday song in the world, yo.
There you go.
Get that one then. Well done, Alice.
After we've finished. It's how the race thing. How is that over there? Because we know that we've been baited not only with this coronavirus, but now we've been baited with division through race. Now, I understand this because I've got not personal experience, but I've got second-hand experience. At the weekend, my wife's boss was walking through Sheffield city centre with his mixed race. He's half Somali and half British. Half Somalian. His dad was Somali and his mum was British. He's got two kids who he's got his wife's white, and he's got two kids who I don't know what sort of tone they've got on the skin or whatever. But on Saturday, they were walking in Sheffield city centre, and some EDL knobheads, that's all I can call them, animals, attacked him. So he's been down on the floor and been having the shit kicked out of him, if you mind my language. They've been abusing his wife. They've punched his 17-year-old daughter in the face, and his other daughter, who I think is 15, they've tried to throw her, smash her head through a window. This is what these thugs have been doing, and I've seen a video of this. It's not nice viewing, but I've seen a video of this, and we've got this sort of shit now. And I don't even know if there were anything going on over the weekend, whether the Black Lives Matter were doing something in Sheffield or whatever. I don't know whether the EDL were doing something. I really don't know. So how is it over there? It seems to be on the knife edge here, but that's how they like to have us, on a knife edge, and then pull us away from that knife edge and stick us on another knife edge. What's it like in New Zealand?
Well, in New Zealand, we're kind of unique. We've got an oppressed native population who was swindled with a treaty, and essentially their culture has been sort of destroyed, and now they kind of exist in sort of like little disparate areas around the country. They still think themselves very powerful, and they stand up for themselves, but their medicines and ways have essentially been banned or eroded over time. And now they're very destitute, and many of them are desperate. And those that aren't destitute or desperate have basically accepted the system and come into it and don't really consider themselves as part of their race anymore anyway. So the ones who are increasingly desperate, on the other hand, are often being overtaken by radical leftists and feminists and things of that nature, and have gotten into the political sphere, protesting and things of that nature, and are now being utilized essentially by multinational corporations who are financing a lot of these well-meaning activist groups and things of that nature to essentially destabilize the country as a whole, and also to make people very, very anti their particular racial group. Now, as a result, a lot of people have become, who otherwise wouldn't, have become racist, right? In the sense that they see this kind of thing happening and they then put a racial profiling onto it. And if it wasn't happening, they wouldn't even see it in that way. But it is happening, and it is being seen in that way. And there's an endemic racism in the country that's often expressed through the police, whereby you'll be several times more likely to go to jail for the same crime as a white man if you're from a particular racial group. And that's that particular racial group over all others. There's no disparity. It's this one or all others go to jail at far, far higher the rate. So when we look at the racial situation in New Zealand, you can see essentially a bunch of balkanization, and even these different racial groups hate each other, they hate themselves, and it's all just hate, hate, hate. So that's why hate speech laws, and that's why increased police military presence and increased New World Order agendas are being put into place, justified by all this racial tension. So in my opinion, it appears to be in some ways manufactured, and people have been misled. People who have genuine grievances against the system are being then pointing at white people in general, or the system in general, as opposed to more specifically the overseas oligarchy that control the entire world, and our policy as being directly responsible for the tensions that we're seeing here in New Zealand. And again, I'm not sure if this is similar to the rest of the world or not.
Just going on that, have you heard of John Winoa? John Winoa. And what do you think of the work that John's been doing? Because obviously you get... Well,
I honestly don't know a whole lot about the stuff that John's been doing, but there are many radicals like him, and I think they're all doing good work. However, I think they're like me, they're damaged, and sometimes it's difficult to maintain your calm and stuff like that if your neurology is actually being rewired by trauma. I think the first time I met John, he was talking about the native flag, what's called the Whakaputinga flag, and that was originally used for trading between the Māori nation, essentially. And the British didn't like that, so they cornered them all in a place called Parihaka, and then they destroyed all the Māori ships. They'd started to amass themselves a whole fleet of ships, and they were freely and peacefully trading with neighbours and things like that around the world. British couldn't have that, so they destroyed them. And that flag, the Whakaputinga flag, was what was flying on their ships at the time. It was the one thing that gave them jurisdiction over their livelihoods, essentially, and that's why it got destroyed. So John was very much, I think, one of those people who's trying to bring that, the rightful jurisdiction in New Zealand back under that kind of control. But as I say, the first time I saw him, we were at a marae. It's a meeting house for Māori. And a lady was doing a presentation on all the oil drilling and fracking that was going on here in New Zealand, like the real issues, they're happening right now, polluting the water table, stealing all the water. And after she's done and everything like that, everybody else had a turn to speak. It's a bit of a circle going. And John Winoa, he was yelling and stuff like that about the jurisdiction and how they're doing this to us and that kind of thing. I don't smoke, I don't drink, and I was like, well, maybe you should start, bro, because you kind of get a little bit aggro there, And everybody just laughed at him, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, there is something to be said for the Whakaputinga flag and the rightful jurisdiction in New Zealand. I just think that those guys are essentially laying the groundwork for fights that'll be taken up further down the track, perhaps by people that are less traumatized. Like I'm hoping that somebody who's less traumatized will be able to take up the mantle from me, you know, of doing all this talk radio and stuff like that in the New Zealand vein. I'm not sure if it'll happen, but I live in hope.
And then you can retire to Epstein Island.
Yeah.
Turn it into a nature reserve.
Yeah. What was it? It'll be Harry Belafonte order. This is my island in the sun, where my people have toiled since time begun. Oh, I may sail on many a sea. Her shores will always be home to me. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, Epstein Island came to me by my pedophile's hand. All my days I will sing in praise of the satanic pedophiles and transsexual gays.
We'll probably get copyrighted for that, you know.
Yeah, Harry Belafonte's management will be on to us.
I can't do Belafonte, bro. Like, there's nobody who can do Belafonte apart from the FBI. They did him.
Well, I've got no idea who Ali Belafonte. Belafonte.
Belafonte.
Who he is? I'm assuming he's a singer.
Like a ballerina and a fonte, kind of like a different type of writing.
Right. Oh, yeah. Belafonte.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Belafonte, yeah. Hey, Henry, the Truth is Karaoke Show, yeah. Same man's just popped that in the chat room. Next up, oh, it's Vinny.
Suddenly clicked, have they?
That's what I was. Once I'd got this this T-shirt coming, I thought I'm definitely going to wear it for show. But when I thought it'd be better if it were Vinyl Fix It.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything like it, but you'll fix it. It's a show. You have to take it over, don't you? Someone's got to take it over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll move away from that. From.
I want to know if there's been any statue removals in New Zealand.
There has. And like literally, I was about to get to it on the news yesterday. It was interesting because it was just after. Thank you, God. Just after a bad video with me and stuff like that hit the news and helped to demonize the outdoors party a bit. I managed to the statue started getting removed by councils and getting defaced by Black Lives Matter people, and that then stole all the media attention. I was like, thank you, God, thank you.
Oh dear. I mean, there's one good side to it. I mean, there are a lot of people that have seen the funny side of it. There's pictures going around today trending of people stood next to these statues where the statues have got their own back. There's one where a boy is actually swinging the baseball bat, and he's got his face right close up to the bat, so you can imagine it's like the statue's getting its own back. So, like, people are seeing the humorous side of it, which we all need a bit of laughter in these times of madness. Yeah.
Well, you don't really have much of a choice. In fact, I was learning a while ago, actually, that the number one type of entertainment program during World War I by the British public was comedy programs. All right, when times are hard, people want to have a bit of relief from it, you know? And don't get me wrong, I do like to listen to serious news and get things going. But if there ain't no jokes in it, I'm not going to be able to remember it, you know? And that's the thing. We recall with our feelings, and you have to make sure that people actually feel something when they're watching you. Otherwise, it's just empty air.
So it would have to be the old, what would it be in the UK? George Formby, bit of Laurel and Hardy.
What's that bird called? Who did that? What's Vera Lynn?
Yeah, Paul Virulin film.
Dave Verlin, Bluebirds Over the White Cliffs of Dover. I think Bob Hope did it, didn't he? With did Entertain Troops and the American troops. He went over to where they were. He did quite a bit of that. So yeah, the comedy. That's what people want. But that's what you want at a time like this, isn't it? You don't want to be. But they're trying to ruin that for us as well. I mean, so many shows over here that are now being pulled from streaming services because they might have. I mean, even the in-betweeners.
No, here's the problem. They make people feel something real, okay? That is why they are getting pulled, period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If it's not completely false, manufactured nonsense, that means nothing. It is on the chopping block, and if it ain't been cut yet, it's gonna be. So, gentlemen, it's been lovely serving with you, but our days are absolutely numbered here on YouTube and other broadcasting platforms, and I do want to express my great disdain for that reality, and that's why I'm broadcasting every single day, pretty much. I'm going to rock it till the wheels fall off.
Good on you.
Yeah. That's well. I mean, we all do sometimes we do feel like that, don't we? And this lockdown, everything we've been saying, everything we said, everything you did in all those years, right? It didn't affect you. Whatever. Some of it might have affected you personally, but it didn't affect you. Then lockdown came. And it affected everybody. Everybody's life was affected. So what?
Apart from the countries that had no lockdown of any kind. And in fact, there are a number of them that didn't have any lockdowns. And people forget that they not only didn't have any lockdowns, but they also didn't have too many deaths from the virus.
Was it? I think it was Turkmenistan, South Korea, another stan,
Japan,
Eastern Bloc
as well. I think, but not were it Bolivia? I can't remember. There was Belarus.
And then again, if you look at the US, 5 of the US states carried on as normal as well. There's quite a few places that kept running, that kept going.
Exactly. Now, so there's a trend. Now, when new viruses come on the scene, and they come on the scene every year, that's why it's called a flu season, because it comes with the seasons, which happen every year. There is a spike of infections, and then it goes back down. Okay, just like when it's winter, there is a spike of cold as shit weather, and then it becomes slightly warmer, right? That's basically how it works. It's kind of like a season. And when you look at the lockdowns, where they occurred, and what the statistical difference they made it, no statistical difference can be discerned.
Mm-hmm. Right at the very beginning, even I said it's the time of the year where we're expelling, our viruses anyway. It's a purge. Springtime is a purge. It happens in nature, and all they've done is just rode off the back of that and tried to exaggerate it as much as they can. I've been fortunate where I'm in week 4 of being able to go places. We have for about 2 weeks now here in Portugal. And apart from the hand sanitizers and the masks, there isn't any really markings on the floor because the shops and supermarkets have always been open, been quite fortunate.
Yeah, well, we're on our first day back.
I know you are. Welcome to the club.
After that great big long holiday. But even just from a personal point of view, just from if I'm thinking about if I think about it, the football season starts again this weekend. Now, I'm a football fanatic. I'm a Sheffield Wednesday season ticket holder, even though I can't go off most of the time. I'm a football fanatic. Now, I'm not even bothered. I couldn't even be arsed with it. I can't. It's like the apathy has just engulfed me so much so that I've missed it. I've not missed it. I've missed it. it didn't take me long to miss it. You know what I mean? It didn't. The period that I missed football wasn't very long at all. Then we've got the first day after lockdown. Then you get all the propaganda where you've got people queuing and sleeping. Apparently, sleeping outside Primark, which is a discount retailer that does clothes at, like, you know, the cheapest clothes that you get. You know, people call it Primani, don't they? You know, I'm good at Primani, but it says there's people queuing outside. Now, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think that's just like right. So you see that, you see people queuing in newspapers and online. So you think, oh, I best go out and I best go and spend my money. You know, is it pretty much the same over there? I mean, are you allowed out yet? Are you free?
Well, imagine for a moment that there's actually no actual difference. Okay? Imagine for a moment that we already have one global system. And as I've explained twice earlier, you're asking about situations here, and they're identical to situations there, aren't they? And it's just it's the same ice cream. It's just a different flavor. And so that's the reason why I am utterly convinced that we have one global system. And I'm also utterly convinced, because of that global system and because people don't realize the differences that are going on in other countries and things like that, and that means that the intelligence agencies are controlling the media. Okay. Now, the reason why I know that is because in World War II, the OSS, which later became the CIA, was created for one purpose only: to confuse the enemy. At the time, the enemy was the Japanese and the Germans, and the Italians, obviously. Now, they did so in very, very interesting ways. One such way was they would hijack a train full of mail that was bound for Berlin, take all of the mail out, read all of the letters, and then rewrite them and change the details, and then put them back on the train and then send them back into Berlin. These are the things that are going in. So the high command would think that their troops were in places that they weren't. Other people would think that people were their enemies when they weren't. And at the end of the day, the enemy was so confused, how could they ever fight the invasion that was being planned? They had no idea who they could trust. They had no idea who was on their side, right? They're confused about everything. And I think after World War II concluded, the CIA was born, and the infiltration of the world's global media to confuse everybody about everything and to keep us out of contact with each other so that we can't see the same thing with the two eyes that we've got, right? And that way we would never be able to resist the overarching system that is planned for us, the technocracy. Have a look at China, ladies and gentlemen. You have your money on your phone, and you are tracked and traced wherever you go with facial recognition technology. And if you do things that the government doesn't like, they give you penalties in real time. You're jaywalking across the street, bing, 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 bing. Here's a reminder on your phone. That's deducted you X amount of money, or that's deducted you X amount of social credit units. And so that means that you can't go on the train, or you can't get a bus, or you can't leave the country, or you can't get a particular job, or etc., etc., etc. And it just keeps getting worse until the point where they can turn off the apps on your phone where your money is, and you can't buy anything anymore because they're trying to do a cashless society. Okay? You know what it's like living in a country with 1 billion slaves who don't know that they're slaves? Okay? Not entirely dissimilar from living on an island nation of 5 million slaves who don't know that they're slaves, you know? Not entirely different from living in a continental group of states of 400 million slaves who don't know they're slaves. We're all under the exact same system. The difference between us and China is China's already been beta tested, and that's why they're moving the UN there. And then they will be the center of all power. So even if the United States want to invade them, they've got to invade the Middle Kingdom. All right. And all of their technology that the United States has given China, they've given them stealth drones, they've given them aircraft sinking drones and all sorts of other technology, drone helicopters, all sorts of stuff, bro. It's just been given directly to the Chinese, and they are absolutely willing and prepared for war. So in the future, I think we're going to have a third world war, big strike war. And we're also going to have a fake alien invasion, and then you're going to have a world government that'll last 1,000 years. All right. That's something like what is planned. All right. Now, the best plans. What was it? The old saying: the best laid plans of mice and men. All right. And Sun Tzu once said that no battle plan has ever survived contact with the enemy. Okay, so it doesn't matter how well they've got this thing planned out, we can throw a spanner in the works. If you give one Jerry activist who has no idea how to use a cell phone or anything like that, you just give them a cell phone and an Osmo gyro stabilizer thing on it and teach them how to live stream, and all of a sudden they're live streaming all of their protests that they go to, that kind of thing. You've turned that person into a weapons platform. Okay, and that is essentially my plan for this election, is to turn people who don't know how to use communications technology into soldiers, essentially, in this technological warfare of information sharing. Because we're so confused, because we're so divided, each and every one of us has to, in their own capacity, make as much media as they can, simply to compare and contrast with the mainstream media. Do you get enough views? Does that even matter? Have you got any people watching you that otherwise would only have the mainstream media to talk to? That's a good reason to do the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've always said that. Even when we first started this, Andy, back 4 years ago, we always said that it didn't matter whether there were 1, 2, or 3 people listening. And we did know that we had you get nice letters, emails from people. I know we're not massive. We're just we're just where we want to be. We're just under the radar thing. You know, we get good big guests on like yourselves. Anybody who's watching your show, you can subscribe to Raconteurs News as well. We do have some very good guests on. We do have some crap ones on as well, but we do have some very good.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, not you. Can he teach you how to answer emails? I'm terrible at emails, you know I am. I will get back. I've got there is somebody I need to talk to who sent me a big long email, and I think it was Don Tellingpike in the chat room. I need to respond to that as well. I'm just I'm just terrible. Just
a bad him.
I'm just terrible. I just fall asleep, you know, and
I fucking hate these.
Hank Williams, 7 fillings. I don't know who that is. Are we talking about me or Vin? I don't know.
Is that your stage name, Hank Williams with 7 fillings?
That might be it. I don't think I've got 7 teeth left in mine. 7 bleeding fillings. Someone's put it's much better on mute. Thank you very much for that. But
it's like I've got so many teeth missing. My fillings need fillings, man. Like you just pouring filling into filling.
Not so long ago, I actually pulled one out live on air because it
did. I remember that.
It right back, and it had a sharp bit that kept rubbing on my tongue, and my tongue was really sore all the time. So I ended up getting a pair of scissors and gouging it out. I think it were around here. But since we've had, I think my wife took the opportunity to throw it away.
Don't try this at home, kids.
Don't be doing that. Spanish Chicken has said, ask Vinny not to sing, please. Lol. So Vinny's like a jolly Santa Claus. Oh, I can see that. You know, you look good in a Santa Claus dress.
And also, I've got the red and white theme.
See.
See. I'm a blue and white person. You see.
Yeah.
My football team's blue, so blue and white.
Commonly known as a blight on the nation of England.
Oh dear! So you know this social credit system that you were talking about that's in China.
I don't know it, but I'm soon to, because the Green Party in New Zealand that's currently in coalition with the government have been pushing for a social credit to be introduced here in New Zealand. And judging by the biased media coverage and the $50 million that the government just gave the mainstream media to bail them out after the COVID crisis and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure they're going to get a really, really decent victory here, especially because they shut down all the other parties from being able to electioneer during this election year up until now. And there's now about 90 days-ish to go until the election. So every party that people have never been heard of, listen to me now. You've got 90 days. You've got 90 days to basically get as much attention on you as the compromised mainstream media of all veins that is currently controlled by the government is giving themselves. That's how much attention you need to get if you want to make any freaking difference. So get off your ass. Get yourself your megaphone. Get yourself your PA system. Get yourself a decent broadcasting cell phone. Load it up with data. Get yourself to these protests and live stream them. Okay? Tomorrow's too late, people. Everything's got to be done, and it's got to be done now. You don't have any choice. I'm afraid it's too late for that.
It is too late. It is. Well, I think once the lockdown began. I think that's when it was too late. I mean, we knew it were all. It was always coming. It was like over Christmas. We had a December election, if you remember, and I don't know whether I've thought about it quite a bit, but I don't know whether Boris Johnson was the final, piece in the jigsaw to allow them to move forward with this agenda. Because now we've not only got all these agendas that we're having to deal with, and people are really, really worrying about, but we've also got this stuff that's not really worth worrying about, like what the different coloured skin. I mean, who should worry about that? Nobody.
Look, at the end of the day, there is only one race, the human race. If you don't believe so, you're a racist. Okay? Period.
I agree.
Oh, well, I don't know how we're going to... See, I've decided that if you look at me, I'm not quite as white as you, Vinny, so I think I'm off-white. We are a new race, the off-whites. And
I think the whole mainstream media is off-whites at this moment.
Oh God, they don't half-hate us, don't they? I mean, it's just it
is just not all right to be white. I mean, bro, if you're just born bad. You're born in you fucking colonizer, being born in your own native country. Fuck you.
Complete and it's a madness.
What I've noticed another letter on this thing that people call each other, when they're a bit freakish and they're not a man or a woman, or let's face it, we've got LGBT, right? Okay, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, great. We've got Q, which I don't know what that means, and we've got another one I saw today. I is on the end. I wonder what the I stands for. Anybody know what the I stands for?
What on the LGBT, BCG, BBC, ITV, Channel 4 and all that?
LGBTQI. So, I mean, what are they trying to do?
In fact, I was just been thinking we've got to actually start our shows a little bit differently now. So instead of going just ladies and gentlemen, it's now ladies, gentlemen, and... welcome to the Vinny Eastwood Show.
ladies, gentlemen, lesbians, gays, bisexuals, transsexuals, queers, and eyes. But I don't know what an eye is. Just so I haven't missed anybody out. I don't know why. Ingrown.
Illuminati. Illuminati, somebody says here in the chat room.
It's
incontinent.
Yeah.
Intersex. Oh, intersex, says Basil.
Intersectional. Oh, so like basically, this is where all the sexual congress intersects. So
there'll be a symbol with that then, no doubt.
What
symbol to go with that one.
What does an intersexual do?
Well,
I haven't a clue.
Well, they're intersex. I mean, that much is clear from the title, but other than that, we don't know. We just don't know. And that's the whole thing. Again, what is the CIA's job originally? To create confusion. What are we currently, when we're talking about sex or gender or anything of that nature? This is all creating confusion, isn't it? All right, it's man and woman and human race, and that's the end of the story. That's not very confusing. You understand that there's a man, you understand that there's a woman, and you understand that there's a human race, and we're all brothers and sisters in it. Otherwise, you're a racist and a sexist.
We've got there here by Basil's mum, a person that has biological features of both man and a woman. These biological man-woman organs might be partially developed. Intersexual.
Great. Another 0.003% of the population that we can give all our attention and admiration to when at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. They don't take themselves that seriously either, and they're just being used as a pawn by the global elites to divide everybody and get well-meaning, extremely wealthy kids who've never actually worked a day in their life or really actually suffered anything other than neglect by their parents that had to work for a living, to get all bleeding hard about it and get out there and get really aggressive and be a social justice warrior. It's just like, have any of these social justice warriors ever spoken with real soldiers before? You know, I have, and had a few drinks with them, had a lot of drinks with them. And when they talked about their friends that died in their arms, or talked about the 42 people that they killed in World War II, and said it was like spending 42 years in jail, I couldn't understand the level of pain and suffering that a man could really go through after killing that many people, right? And the other guy says, well, why do you think we drink, Vinny? It's so because otherwise we can't sleep. Because if we're sober and we don't black out drunk, we dream. And then we see the faces of all the people that we've killed and had die in our arms. All right. So now you know, ladies and gentlemen, why, if you've got a veteran in the family or something like that, that they drink a lot at night.
Well, yeah, I must be a veteran then.
You drink every night.
But again, that's just trauma.
Yep. It's trauma coming from all directions, isn't it? And when you were talking about being able to sleep at night, I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep at night now. Now I know that there's an eye. You know, I'm thinking that they're starting to fucking take the entire alphabet.
Well, they should take that out of the LGBTQ thing, because there is no I in team. Hey guys, you know, at all times, like, people are getting depressed and things like that, and when you are down in the dumps, just remember, things could be worse. There could be satanic pedophiles running the world.
Oh, you could put some comedy on your one of your streaming sites that you think you'll be able to laugh at, and it'll have been removed because it said gays and bummers or something like that, you know, from back in the day. I think even the in-betweeners has been done. Has been
really?
The in-betweeners.
Oh, they just took down Gone with the Wind, which had the very first Oscar won by a black woman in history, was in Gone with the Wind, and they took it down because they thought Gone with the Wind was racist. It's like watching somebody eat themselves, going, "This is yum. Why am I bleeding so much?"
it's a complete Faulty Towers we've lost, haven't we?
Oh, it came back. It came back actually. It just got restored.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, but it does have a warning at the beginning, doesn't it? That, you know, if you're a snowflake, don't watch this.
I was just about to say the word snowflake. Warning: if you are a pathetic pile of human trash who gets offended by everything you see that's funny, don't watch this any further, because then you'll be prompted to complain after you see funny jokes that actually have real humor in them. Okay? You know, that would be the disclaimer for the Vinny Eastwood show.
The irony of it all is that the term snowflake, and I was talking to Jason about this earlier, when I was growing up in the 70s, there used to be a program on called Love Thy Neighbour, where there was a black man and a white man that lived next door. And it was honky, and it was snowflake. It was, you know, it was the snowflake. So that term snowflake has two different meanings in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Right, so that's what they call a white guy, a honky or a snowflake.
It was a honky or a snowflake. But I'm just thinking they're using the term snowflake.
Excuse me.
It's quite funny. It's quite funny looking back and thinking they're using that term again. How words can be changed to, you know, different agendas, different meanings, you know?
Well,
the word gay itself used to mean happy, joyous.
Happy.
And now it means anal sex. So I don't which you know, depending on your preference, can be quite happy and joyous.
I like the old Norm MacDonald joke on that, where he says, I saw he says, oh, behind the truck, and on the truck it had a sticker on it that said, "We are proud of our gay son." And he says, and I thought to myself, well, you know, what does that mean? I mean, are they really proud? I mean, was he always striving to be gay, and he finally got there? He's not.
You've hit the big time, son.
and then he says, and when they're at social functions, do they go and so on? Oh, how's your John? And he's doing very well. He came top of his class. He's done this. Oh God, he fucking loves cock. He loves cock. Just God, he's just I can't get enough. In every you know, just it's ridiculous to be proud of something that you've got no. It's like me saying I'm proud of being white. I can be proud of being white. I had no fucking choice. I was born white. You know. I'm proud to be, you know, if people say they're proud to be gay, I don't get it.
I'm quite proud to have gone through puberty. You know, it just kind of happened, and I'm real proud of that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, listen, I'm exactly the same. I'm proud of my Jim will Fix It T-shirt.
Maybe you could actually just rewrite it a little bit. Jim will fuck it, and just have a
That's one strike.
That's this show gone. You can't.
We're blacklisted. That's it. We're done.
Look, if you can't laugh about children being raped on an industrial scale, what can you laugh at, eh?
Well, we're not. We're not actually laughing at that, are we? We're actually laughing at how.
Well, speak for yourself.
So fucking obvious. It's so fucking obvious, and yet nobody does out about it. No gets done.
Yeah, exactly
that's what we're laughing at. But you know, we're talking. I know we are. He was a sir, so he was a lord of the realm or whatever the fucking hell he were. You know, and so we have to look.
He was given permission. He was given permission.
Oh yeah, of course he were. Oh, he were a provider. He were
the Jimmy Savile case reminds me of a lady that I interviewed. She got complex post-traumatic stress just from researching what one particular group in the United States was doing to kids. They're a group called the Jesters. Now, what does a jester do? They provide entertainment for the court. Okay, and they were involved with a lot of sponsorship with children's burn units and things like that, and they would be taking these children out on these Caribbean cruises where you'd have like 7 children and a bunch of old men on a boat in the middle of the Caribbean and stuff like that. So delivering children is a very, very important job if you are an industrial scale pedophile like the Royals, for example. And because they've got all this cover, you know, you can give somebody sir, and if you're sir, you can get in pretty much anywhere. And people don't ask questions and things like that. Why is Jimmy Savile involved with so many child's charities and things like that? Could it be exactly like the Jesters Freemasonic order in Washington, D.C. did, where they were actually using their charity as a cover for concealing their pedophile crimes and human trafficking? Okay?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to wait. I mean, I remember growing up as well, you know, the sunshine buses or the Royal something club buses that would pick up underprivileged children, take them off for a weekend in the countryside. But at the time, obviously growing up as a child, it was like, you know, those kids are getting to go off and this, that and the other. But thinking about it now is shit. You know, potentially, I'm not saying it did happen, but potentially this could have been one of those vans that have gone off somewhere and God knows what have happened to these people. That's a scary thing.
Well, children are going missing massively, all right? Like, the Clinton emails came out and Pizzagate and all of that sort of stuff. That was regarding 300,000 Clinton emails, and that wasn't the entire leak. Just this 300,000 emails were specifically tied to child trafficking, pedophilia, satanic child sacrifice, stuff like that. That was what those emails were about. And a lot of people don't know that the Clintons are actually in court over that at the moment. And that's what all these riots are happening and stuff like that. So people are talking about race instead of industrial scale pedophilia by the elite.
Sorry, I muted my mic because I was in a conversation with my wife. Next up. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's we know it's been it's definitely they're definitely covered, and for me, the people that are the ones to blame are the media, because who else would cover for paedophiles than other paedophiles? That's the only thing that would. I'd not cover for a pedophile. If I find out somebody had abused a child, well, if I fucking couldn't get older, if I couldn't up there fast enough and fucking beat the living shit out of him, you know, it'd be reported. But it just don't seem that happens. It just doesn't seem. It seems that a blind eye is turned. This Jim will fix it T-shirt. I know we're having fun and we're talking about this. This went off for a long time in the BBC, and this Jim will fix it. Yeah, I don't know if you know the show, but the show was children wrote into the show to ask for something. So let's just say they wanted to be a pilot for a day, and then Jim would fix it for them to go and sit in pilot seat and go on a plane. Or they were a famous one where they wanted to go on the, I think it was the thing at it was
the big dip, Blackpool. Or the Revolution.
I was just thinking about this. If you really, really didn't want anybody to know you were a pedophile, you needed to be seen doing a hell of a lot of nice stuff for kids.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because then people would go like, "Oh no, he could never do that. Look how many thousands of times I've seen him do nice stuff to children. I can't believe that when the cameras turn off, there's something other than what's being projected on reality."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, bro. You learn about people's personality clashes and stuff like that. I was watching something this morning about Mad Max Fury Road and how Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron really didn't get along, and they were all bitching and whining and stuff like that. These are immature people like me who have millions upon millions of dollars and all of this acclaim and influence and stuff like that, who do nothing with it. Now, I'm an immature person, sure, but at least I try to give my immature platform to other people who can, give people a little bit of maturity. And I will just sit around and go, we've had enough of saying Q will save us all. Yeah, just, hey, ladies and gentlemen, how's that plan working out for you? Okay, the lockdown was part of the plan, Vinny. There's all the pedophiles and stuff like that.
No, I think you've read it wrong. I think you've read it again.
Will Q save us all?
So it's a question. So
yeah,
it's not.
I know.
Oh right, sorry about
and then with a laugh, and maybe you got to read it for you. All right, and the thing about Q is, I believe that if you've got a movement that encourages you to sit there and do nothing, then it's a controlled opposition. All right, I think that's about it. Q is trust the plan, eat popcorn. That is the directive. Give us trust and do nothing and sit there and watch the show. Okay? Anybody who's not telling you to get personally involved in your community, personally involved in your own broadcasting, personally involved in your own local council and stuff like that. Seriously, get personally involved. Don't let Vinny Eastwood or anybody else do this job for you. You have to get up. You have to do something. You've got an idea? Don't send it to me. Bring it into reality. Okay? There are 5 dimensions of reality. First dimension is a wee dot. Second dimension is a line. Third dimension is a box. Fourth dimension, the box moving through time. The fifth dimension is the box beyond time, beyond space. That's where all your inspiration comes from. These are all the ideas that you've got in your head that don't currently exist in reality. And you've got to spend your time willing your ideas into physical reality. That's what you're here to do, ladies and gentlemen. You've got a limited amount of time to put your inspiration that's in your head into the physical universe. Only once your ideas have manifested themselves into physical creation are they capable of inspiring others or making a difference. Your ideas are no good in your head.
No. And also, is that where they think outside the box comes from? When you said the box floating through time. So if you get outside that box and you can see that box floating through time and space and stuff, you know.
No, I'm not sure if they really thought about it as deeply as I did. But good try.
No, don't worry. I thought mine were better.
No, outside the box is that you're sitting in a box, and the only thing you can see is the walls and the roof and the floor. You can't actually see or think outside the box. All right, that's when you're actually living in a very limited space and limited environment with limited inspiration. That's what thinking outside the box means. You've got to get outside of that box and do something different. Think of something different. Be able to see things that are different generally, or at least I believe so. I mean, I could be wrong.
I think I'm probably just a deeper thinker than you. We just leave it at, and probably a better singer. To be fair,
are we going to have a sing-off then, guys?
No, I don't think we should do.
Yeah, my singing's kind of hit and miss. Like some of the songs are really, really good, and some of them are just bad. And the problem is, like if you do, unless you have a fold back and you can actually hear yourself, you don't have no idea how you sound when you're singing. Are you hitting the right tone? Are you hitting the right notes? It's a bit of a problem. But yeah, at the end of the day, there are a lot of people who are great rock stars and singers and things like that who can't fucking sing. So that's what they do. They don't go into the opera, they go into a rock band. And that's what my band is about, Vinny and the Vendettas. And I think the one song that my wife likes, where I actually do sing well, is the Happy Birthday song. So if you just search Happy Birthday, Vinny and the Vendettas, you should be able to listen to that one. It's a really, really good song. I wrote it for my bandmate when he was, I think, what was his 56th birthday or something like that. We sat there and we had some acid, and then we jammed, and that song came out, and really beautiful.
If you play it backwards, can you hear the words?
I don't know. Never tried playing it backwards, but anyway, yeah.
So listen, what's your opinion, or what do you think, if you think anything, about David Icke's new platform that seems to have got, which is London Real? I mean, London Real for me, I've never heard of them before, and suddenly they're there, and they seem to be everywhere. Someone's put in the chat room that every advert that they see is for London Real. So, any ideas about that, or any thoughts about that?
Anything and everything that is not doing nothing is a good idea. All right, and that's all I got to say. A lot of people have tried new networks and failed, David Icke being among them. And my personal approach is either A, don't do nothing and go off and try new things. If they haven't been done before, try them. Or B, keep your costs as low as humanly freaking possible. And the reason for that is because then you won't need as many advertisers, and if you screw up or there's cost associated or something like that, it's not going to be as difficult to pay the rent and what have you. You know, I mean, I remember what was his name? Some dude, Richie Allen. I think I was on a call with Richie Allen at one point, and I told them. He had some idea to go down to Spain because they had specific broadcasting standards there that could get away with stuff or anything. And I was just like, well, start your own YouTube channel, start broadcasting stuff from there. And if you've got people around the world that all have their own channels, that kind of thing, you can simply schedule them up on a centralized platform that everybody contributes to, and then you don't need central hubs of rent and all of that kind of stuff. You just need one centralized website where everybody contributes to, kind of like how YouTube works, but instead you only have established broadcasters that already do their thing, and then you have them on a central page where everybody can donate to them or go directly to these sites to pay it, you know, essentially. An information clearinghouse for activism and online radio to a large degree. And I think, you know, the idea has viability, but the fact of the matter is, if you're doing a show, you can't really do anything else. All right, a show is enough. That's enough work. And I don't know how a lot of other people do it, but perhaps they don't have complex post-traumatic stress like me, because, you know, I have an emotional attachment to the work, and I can get emotionally drained, exhausted, essentially, by listening to people's trauma, by talking about these horrible truths and things of that nature on a consistent basis. It can be very, very hard for me, and so I need to take time off and things like that. And that's where having a decentralized network is, I think, a much better idea than centralized platforms. Everything needs to be open sourced and decentralized, including government.
Well, can't agree with you more. A million small channels like this one is better than one channel with a million, you know, that has the same amount of viewers as that million small channels on their own, because they're inevitably, there are, when money starts coming into things and you have to up your game and stuff like that, inevitably people then will start saying, for a start, you scam, you know, you're trying to scam and you're trying to do this and you're trying to do that. I mean, with David Icke, he's got, you mentioned Richie Allen, he was part of the People's Voice. So that's how he got his hand up. That's when he started doing a radio show that was being promoted by David Icke, and then suddenly he just said, me and David Icke have parted, you know, waves. We're not connected anymore. So it's a real, I think a million
understand. I think we've all got personal problems, and this happens in Hollywood as well. You know, when people say they've got creative differences, and the fact of the matter is, almost everybody, all of us, is a dick in some way, shape, or form. We're all some kind of asshole. It just depends. Are you the kind of asshole I can hang out and have a drink and a smoke without any shit being caused? Or are you the different kind of asshole that is not going to be my friend kind of asshole? You know, that kind of thing. And that's basically what the creative process, I think, is largely about. What kind of asshole shits in the same square as you?
Good analogy. I like that.
I'm pretty anal about my analogies and my analysis.
I must be some sort of arsehole. I think I've had about 4 different co-presenters, and you know, hopefully,
You just
Owen.
have yet to find the right asshole. I mean, that's it's it's unfortunate.
Yes, I have to find the right arsehole for me, but thankfully there's enough arseholes listening to us. So, hello, if you're listening to us on YouTube at Raconteurs News and on Facebook as well at Raconteurs News. I keep forgetting about you people on Facebook, and I'm very, very sorry about that. It's just that the YouTube chat goes miles faster, and then but I do see them. I do see your comments on there. Somebody put a question about, and I think it's probably a bit of a. I don't know if it's one we really should ask, but because I think everyone's going to know what you're going to say, and but it were about a cashless society. I mean, you've already mentioned it now. Once China, and everything's paid for on your phone and stuff like that. Now, how far do you think we are down that road? Do you think we're if we're on?
Well, I think how far we're down on. Well, first of all, I think how far we are down the road is inconsequential. Are we on the road? Yes or no? That's of consequence. Yes, we are on that road. Where does that road lead? It leads to the death of everybody who would stand up for liberty, everybody who would stand up for freedom, everybody would stand up for what is right. Okay? That is what a cashless society will do. Not can do, but will do. Okay? If it's illegal to have cash and be a good person, you're going to die. All right? That's what's going to happen. Very long, very slow, starving. And that doesn't sound ideal, I know, but the thing is, harsh realities need to be taken into account here. There's a part in Sun Tzu's The Art of War where he was surrounded on all sides by the enemy army, no hope of escape. So the first thing the general did is he burned the wagons. He threw away the water. He threw away the bread and all the food, because then his men became extremely aware that if they didn't win, they were going to die. There was no way to escape. There was no way to survive. The only way to live was to destroy the enemy and take what was theirs. We need to, ladies and gentlemen, I'm thinking about this right now, we need to deprive ourselves of as many comforts as we possibly can to give ourselves that motivation that we need to get out the door or to get online to do what is necessary. Otherwise, we are going to get exterminated one by one by one. We will be taken, we will be silenced, we will be exterminated. And that is not something that, is my projection or my belief or something like that. This is in the documents, ladies and gentlemen, of the people who run this world. Agenda 21, Codex Alimentarius. Know them very well, ladies and gentlemen. These are the plans for all your food, all of your medicine, and all of your human activity. And they don't include giving a shit about your human rights or your life in general. You will be a currency and you will be spent, however, is cost effective. Okay? If that means it's not cost effective keeping you alive because you're creating too much trouble for the system, they can simply turn off your chip and then your money supply is gone. Okay? That's what a cashless society is about. Complete and utter control. Now, at the moment, I receive donations through PayPal, Patreon, and KiwiBank. Now, if they were to shut off any three of those digital forms of currency, I'm screwed. All right? If they shut off all of them, I'm dead. You see how precarious the situation is? That's why you really need to be serious about using cash as much as you can. And I know that it's difficult, and I'm not even able to completely do it all myself all the time as well. So it's just becoming very, very difficult, and people need to know that a cashless society equals death of the human race, the human spirit itself.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, isn't it? I mean, once the cash is gone, I do remember a while back we had this discussion with somebody who was a financier, and we talked about a cashless society, and he said that he didn't think that it would happen because many governments deal in narcotics, and narcotics is dealt in money, in cash.
Yeah, well, that would be if the goal was profit alone. The goal is not profit alone. The goal is control. And there will be cash, but there'll only be the cash that those government agents can give themselves, you know? So essentially, they'll keep their own stuff going, and you won't really have much of a say in it. One rule for them, one rule for us. That's basically it. And my camera is messed up again. God damn it!
I'm watching it on that. I've got your feed on the other computer here. There you go. I've got a picture of you, Ty, and then it keeps going fun. Anyway, we've got Vinny Eastwood with us. It's Raconteurs News and the Vinny Eastwood Show as well. I don't know if anybody else has ever said that. And welcome to the Vinny Eastwood Show. It's not Vinny Eastwood. What do you use on your hair? How do you manage it? I've got no hair. I've not had any hair for a few years. I just don't know if I'd be able to cope with all those locks.
Well, I'm not doing it for any fashion statement or anything like that. Watched a video called "Why I Will Never Cut My Hair Again," and in this video they explain a Native American trials during World War II. And they had these people who were Native American trackers, and they brought them in to do the job of tracking in the war. But after they shaved their head in basic training, they found they couldn't track shit. So they're like, okay, well, let's get a whole bunch of more of these guys in, and then let's do some tests, some with their hair and some without. And one of the tests was you had to be lying there next to a fire, asleep. Somebody will creep up on you, and you have to either A, wake up before they get to you and run away, or B, trick them into thinking that you're still asleep and then grab their knife and get it around their throat first. Now, they put in the guys that had their head shaved. They failed the test every single time. Then they put in the guys that had their long hair. They passed the test every single time. So your hair is essentially an antenna. It's what's known as a fractal antenna. You know how your DNA goes in a wee coil, a little spiral going upwards like that? That's the same as an antenna cluster. So there are fields and things of that nature that are in the air, thoughts and things of that nature that you wouldn't be able to access unless you had a sophisticated enough antenna system. And there are many religions, Rastas, even the Vril Society that Hitler worshipped, who believed in the growing of the long hair, that kind of thing, believing that it brought you closer to godlike consciousness. So just the practical benefits of not being asleep while the cops come for me because I get an early warning system. That's kind of like, to a large degree, why I've got this, and I've found it's helped me to be a bit more creative and a bit more cogent with my thoughts. But the Dalai Lama says my pubes can pick up Radio 4. That's good. That's good. All right, guys. Well, it's just about the 2-hour mark, so I have got to go. I've got my baby to take care of, and the pubes comment will be the last one. Thank you very much. So if you do want to support the Vinny Eastwood Show, ladies and gentlemen, and Vinny and the Vendettas, look in the description of my broadcast here or at the homepage of the VinnyEastwoodShow.com, and we've got a new version of our music video, Luftwaffe Aloft, out on Patreons only, and it's the probably one of the final versions before we release the video within the next coming weeks. So if you support us on Patreon, you can go watch that. Other than that, I'd love to encourage my New Zealand listeners to start up a KiwiBank automatic payment, and the account numbers are on the homepage of the VinnyEastwoodShow.com and also in the video description. And if you do donate, you can get a whole bunch of rewards on the homepage of that VinnyEastwoodShow.com. There it says already donated. Click here to get your special rewards, and there's a big unlisted playlist with a whole bunch of dynamite interviews that are too dangerous to be excuse me, guys, that are too dangerous to be public. So it's for patrons only, and also the secret Vinny Eastwood Donors Club on Facebook there, and also you can send guest suggestions. So just trying to feed my baby and keep my wife housed because she can't work while she's looking after that baby, and she has no maternity leave money coming from her job or anything like that because of the lockdown. So it's just me alone as an activist trying to support my wife and child, ladies and gentlemen. So any way that you can contribute to the show would be greatly appreciated.
Well, brilliant. Thanks for joining us, Vinny. Listen, Vinny Eastwood, we're going to go on for another 15 minutes. So after Vinny's gone, so anybody who's listening on Vinny's feed, if you want to, you were at the 2-hour mark. I don't know how, because I've only got 1 minute 40, 1 hour 45.
It says live. It says live 2:01:43 in the corner there. Unless of course that's just when you were actually in the room 15 minutes before the show started.
Well, listen, you go and look after your baby anyway. We'll battle on for another 15 minutes, and we'll talk about. We'll talk about whatever we want to talk about, won't we, Owen?
Absolutely.
So thanks for coming on, Vinny, mate. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure talking to you, and it's never dull. That's I'll give you that. Never dull at all. Because sometimes I'm sat here. Sometimes I'm not going to name names, but I've been sat here and I've been fucking bored shitless.
Yeah.
So anyway, brilliant. Thanks very much. Go and look after your baby, and we'll see you in the very near future. That's Vinny Eastwood, ladies and gentlemen, on Raconteurs News.
Thank you very much, everybody. All right. Well, in that case, I'll just sign off in my customary fashion. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to the Vinny Eastwood Show, the lighter side of genocide. Just because we're being exterminated doesn't mean we can't make it fun. Otherwise, what's the point of being killed? The Vinny Eastwood Show, where the only thing worse than living in a high-tech global police state is Vinny's jokes.
Yes, well, yeah. On that note, we'll see you soon.
Cheers, boys.
Okay, Vinny.
What's the point of being annihilated unless you've masturbated?
You know, like I say, things always could be worse. See you guys.
All right, cheers. That is Vinny Eastwood. Let's have a look at say hello to some of the people in the chat room. Any comments caught your eye there, Owen?
Yeah, there was quite a few there. You know, I believe that Good evening, Uni said, "Can I come on?" Earlier on, I think you owe him that, Jason, from our intrusion on his show last week.
Oh no, he can come on another time. Well, I don't even know if he's got his Guantanamo Bay jammers on.
See, he's off again.
It really, seriously, if you were probably 15 years younger, it might be attractive to somebody with a Jim will fix it fucking t-shirt on, but he's got his Guantanamo Bay on. Well, we might get last 10 minutes. Right. What do you think to Vinny anyway?
Lively as ever. You know, like I said, I've been watching a couple of his shows yesterday and this morning, just to get up to speed with everything that's going on in New Zealand. And yeah, I mean, he's like he said, you know, with his program, he's been struggling a bit. His last station wagon he had broke down. They tried to repair it, but it's of no use. So obviously, with having the little one now, and Vinny wanting to get out and do his filming, and you know, like he says, doing his 5 shows a week, I find it difficult just having the one vehicle. It's only a little small vehicle we've got there. So he's like you were saying, he's doing his 5 shows a week, trying to get as much out there, trying to get, you know, his patrons helping him along, helping him and his wife Sarah along. So yeah,
I know there's some people that disagree with that, but I mean, everyone does it their own way. We certainly we've had donations here, including t-shirts. that'll probably get me kicked in, even though I've only got one leg and I'll be sat on a mobility scooter. you know what I mean? But yeah. We've had a couple of people. We've had a couple of people. I can't fucking remember what we're talking about. What are we talking about? I'm sure I've got early onset fucking
Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's. That's it. Yeah, that's it. How do I donate to the channel, Jason? Well, we're not taking donations during coronavirus crap because I think everybody's skin usually goes through my wife's PayPal, but I'm not asking, so I'm not going to get that at the moment. I know everybody's struggling, and I don't want to. We've got everything we need at the moment here, and if there is anything that we do need, we got a lovely donation to get to upgrade the StreamYard and that. So from two very generous listeners, I've been watching Alan Partridge. I have been watching a bit of Alan. They knew that was the biggest stadium band, REO Speedwagon.
Chris O'Rourke says Vinny was sound. The last bit he was talking about regarding his hair is probably why the military shave the heads of the recruits, demanding the lion, so to speak. Or demeaning. Demaining. Yeah. I've been cursing over the bloody letters. Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, even going back to that, what Vinny was saying, I think it might even be Sikhs, or there's some Indian writing about hair and about length of hair. And also, somebody may correct me, I'm sure it's to do with your nerve endings as well. You know, and it's believed in Rastafarianism about growing your hair as close to God also. So it's all over. You know, Vinny was mentioning before, you know, I think it's, you know, if you look back in certainly religious history books, they will mention hair and the length of hair and the significance of it.
Well, it's the head, isn't it? I mean, the head's always been
it's not, isn't it?
A Sikh is when he wears a turban, he has to touch his head, because that's, you know, they believe that the turban gives them mystical powers. This is my only fools and horses information that I'm getting. I think Uncle Albert's mentioned it on one of them things, but yeah, the head is always in sacred text. I mean, and we talk about the pineal gland as well. The third eye, as some people call it. So, and that, which the calcification, and there's just so much stuff in there that perhaps people are now giving less. Do you know what I mean? They're giving less attention to those things because they've got this other crap that's going on the corner. So they're not. They might have been taking colloidal silver or CBD oil or something like that, and then things just overtake them, don't they?
Or even flaxseed oil. Sorry, Jason. I'm going to say hello to 4 World Peas. Hello from Vinny's stream, Jason. Owen, good to be acquainted. Good to have you. 4 World Peas.
Yeah, thank you for coming along. You can always subscribe. We're on Mondays and Tuesdays. I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow night, though, you know, because I think I'll see if I can dig somebody up tomorrow.
Somebody up? Oh, he cops in. Hey.
I'm telling what's his face? You can come on. Uni, I've put that in there for you to come on. If you want to come on. Does Owen have a channel? Thanks. No, you've not got a channel, but you are going to do a cooking channel.
I'm doing a couple of channels. I'm doing a cooking channel very, very soon with and my guest is. And I do actually have one of Owen Lloyd Martin, as my name is spelled, on YouTube, which I'll be obviously posting Raconteurs news on there and any other stuff that I may do in between. So yeah, as soon as the equipment that I've been waiting for arrives, I'll get straight on it.
Okay, well, this is the time we are going to an American youth's bedroom. It's got 7 minutes. You've only got 7 minutes. No use to go for the shit now.
I'm here. I decided to get myself a little chair because I thought that, you know, it would
How you doing, Uni?
doing all right. So is this any better, Jason?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Loads better. You're not sat over there.
Yeah, it's not a high-tech setup, but it's the best I can really do at the moment.
Excuse me for a minute.
You're good for a shit.
No.
Good for a shit.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Anyway, how are you doing there, young Taylor? Are you all right, mate?
Well, I'm still kind of recovering from the last show that I did, and it wasn't fun. I know you left before that, before shit went down, but
I had a bit of a listen, but I couldn't really tell what it was. Just a bit, fractured, weren't it?
basically Adrian, a guy named Adrian, I don't know if you know him, he's in the I think he's in the chat for Raconteurs, and Leeds and Dinny and Blazin all got into like a fucking ridiculous argument, and I didn't know what to do. I honestly did not know what to do. Like, I felt like, I was told, Blazin messaged me on Skype and was like, kick Leeds because he's being overly aggressive. But I'm like, if I kick Leeds, then he's probably going to get pissed at me. And I don't want to freaking start anything else on top of that. But I don't, and honestly, I'm not the kind of guy that likes to kick people, just because they have just because they're quarreling with somebody else. I felt like, Leeds and Adrian, they're both fully grown adults. They can handle their own, their own argument without me having to step in and break it up, because at the end of the day, but at the same time, I still am the host, and it was really, really fucking complicated, and I honestly did not know what to do, and it really stressed me out, and that's
listen. These are things that you learn. You learn. There's only one way. You learn it. You learn to take control. Right. I did one show with fucking Chrissy Morris and Toby Lee. And when they were at odds, and I had them both, and they were just I had to kick one of them. Who then would just like sending text. I had to kick one of them just so that we could have a conversation. I wish I'd not done that now. I mean, we got record. There were about 300 people in chat room before we even started because it was such a public spat. But you have to take control, and it doesn't matter whether someone's texting you or someone's sending you messages. You do what you want to do. It's your show. You're the one that's put this show to you're the host of this show, and you tell people that you expect them to behave in a manner that you'd expect, and if they don't, then they go. And if they were aggressive and both were going at each other, which I don't know, I didn't hear anything. If there were two people and they were aggressive and they're going for it, just kick them both. I know it's easy to say, but you had Apple Charlotte on as well.
Yeah,
and she was saying some quite interesting things before I left.
Yeah, she came back on afterwards as well, and she was like, "What the fuck is going on? Like, why is there this shitstorm starting over me, basically?" And we actually ended up staying on. Like, I ended the broadcast after like 4 hours, but we actually ended up staying for another like 5 or 6 hours after that. So Apple literally stood on until it was like literally like the Super Leagues fell asleep. So long before. We pretty much went through your guys' whole night time, and it was fucking ridiculous. And just imagine like how much like Leeds was constantly like, "Who the fuck is this prick? Who the fuck is this knobhead?"
Well, you have the button. You have the control. You have the button to delete that or turn the screen off. You
could kick him.
It's your gig.
Yeah, it's just that. Yeah. So Leeds was like, "Shut up, you fat cunts."
Listen, Leeds. I'm gonna. I don't know this other guy. I don't know what the argument were about. Leeds gets like that, right? You just have to if you want to be mates with him, you just have to accept that that's sometimes what he does. He's a dickhead, right? Like Vinny was saying, we're all dickheads. It's just whether we're each other's dickheads. I'm a dickhead. That's why I've gone through fucking more co-presenters than fucking Eamon or Holmes. And so, you know, go on, you Owen.
No. You just saying you're a dickhead. I'm saying I'm a dickhead too. You know, I admit it. I've made mistakes. I've upset people when I shouldn't. So you know, I'll hold my hand up. You know. Sorry for those
people do it. People do it, and if you hold a grudge, it just doesn't. It just doesn't work. There's no point in holding a grudge because it'll just make you bitter.
Yeah, I like I like Leeds. I think he's a cool guy. It's just that, and I don't hold it against him for what happened because he was drunk and he was probably just letting it get to him. But I don't know. I just felt like because that was the first time I've ever seen him like that, and I felt like that the two of them were just like because the thing is he wasn't giving Adrian he wasn't giving Adrian the chance to speak every time. Like literally, like basically, Adrian came in, and he was trying to stick up for me because I made some silly. He took a comment that I made that was a silly comment. Basically, I was saying like, "Yo, Apple, something about Apple being a virgin. It was supposed to be a joke." And he came in basically defending me, and then Leeds and the others basically got on and basically saying, "Why are you talking about Apple? You're saying that she's not saying that she's a mother." And stuff like that, and basically, and it just kept going back and forth for like hours about the same, like literally the same lines over and over again. And even Denny and Blazin were like, "Dude, yo, shut the fuck up, Leeds."
Oh, listen. There's loads and loads of love in the chat room for you, isn't there, Jason? Loads and loads of love in the chat room. Your show, your show's good. I mean,
not the kind of love that you'd want, but it's love.
That's it. So forget negativity, work on the positivity.
And like I said, I don't hold it against Leeds. There's no point in holding grudges. We all make mistakes. I would just really like if Leeds didn't do something like that again. It would be really nice. and don't get me wrong, I didn't like some of the things that Adrian was saying either. And there was one point where I was like, I should just, there were several times actually during it where I was like, I should probably just kick them both because this conversation's going nowhere. But like I said, I felt that if I did that, then it would be kind of like cutting a bond, basically. Like say for example, if I kicked Leeds, then how would I know that he wouldn't hold it against me? And
he wouldn't. I've kicked Leeds myself. You've heard how I've spoke to him on here when I've told him to sort himself out. He won't hold a grudge. He sends you t-shirts. The worse you talk to him, the more t-shirts you get.
So I'm going to talk to you all the time now, Leeds. I know you're an adult. I'm going to talk to you all the time. Moringa seeds. Sorry, he knows what I'm about.
Okay. All right, well, we have definitely done 2 hours now. So thanks for coming on Knobhead number 2, a.k.a. Taylor Bueller. I've not done that phrase, Bueller.
Well, at least it's better than Harris.
And Owen as well. Thanks for co-hosting. I think that it's as long as you're free, mate. Then we'll remove the guest bit in a few weeks' time. But you might do something that really does me head in, or I might do something that does your head in, and then I'm going to end up with fucking Taylor, aren't I? It's going to be me and Taylor.
We'll sort it out. We'll sort something out.
Yeah, but I'm
the last guy that you could chase away, Jason. I'm the last guy you could chase away.
Well, my man love, I shall say good evening from Portugal.
Good evening from Sheffield and good evening from California, Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah, Washington State over there. So thanks for coming. Thanks for coming and listening to us tonight and taking time out of your evening. I know it's precious time, especially this time of night when people are working. They come home from work or whatever. It's special anyway that you come and listen to us. So we'll see you tomorrow night. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Webby's on. We'll get Webby on. See if Webby will get Webby on, eh?
Actually, I think
Webby's organising some himself, so but it's not necessarily for tomorrow night, but it might impede on. We'll see. Anyway, we'll see what we can do. Me and you will have a bit of a confab, a production meeting tomorrow, shall we say?
No problem.
You should get 80.
Thanks to everyone in the chat room, and a big thanks to Johnny Jam Shovel for doing the write-ups. I really appreciate that, mate. I keep forgetting to say it to you. What have I got on here? Blah, blah, blah. Things that I always write down things I need to remember. I'm still fucking intrigued by the eye. I don't know what a fucking intersex is. Because, if someone said, are you intersex? I'd say, yeah. Fucking love it.
yeah. Intersex. It's an older term. Intersex. Yeah, exactly.
I'm intersex then. Me and you and I mean, he's not tried it yet, but Taylor probably will like it. But if someone says to you, "Are you intersex?" I'll say, "Yeah, fucking right." And on that note, we'll end it for this evening. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow night. Take it easy. Bye bye. Love you all, except you, Leeds. He's on a different level.